The New York Giants were among the many teams that shocked the NFL this year, and you got to give Brian Daboll and Joe Sheen, I know I never pronounced that correctly, you got to give them a lot of credit because they came in this year, and if you look at this team a year ago, you're thinking, they'll be lucky to win 7-8 games this year, maybe even 9 if things go really well for them, but they did some big things. Defensively, they looked like they were completely rejuvenated in a very short amount of time. Daniel Jones completely got unlocked by Brian Daboll. I mean, I'm kind of shocked like everybody else is right now, but the Giants are going to keep moving forward. They're coming off a huge wildcard playoff win over my Vikings, and they are going to continue to get better. I think this is going to be a team that competes in the NFC for a long time, especially the East. And I think that especially, I know they lost to the Eagles, but there's a lot of good things surrounding this team right now. So today we were talking about the top 5 NFL draft needs. A shout out to Frank for making us do this video. We love it. We love the Giants, giving them a lot of credit over the last couple of years. So these are the top 5 New York Giants draft needs, and it all starts with wide receiver. Listen, Sterling Shepard, I know the whole story. What did he catch? Like 13 catches, 150 yards, making like $1 million a catch these days. Like, it's just kind of wild. Or it was some stupid math like that. But at the end of the day, wide receiver is the number one absolute need. I mean, whether it's Quentin Johnston or Addison coming up out of USC, it doesn't matter. I think that the Giants are going to be in perfect position, I think, drafting at 25 to go get a wide receiver. I think that they're in a position where even if they want to go into the second and third rounds, I think Josh Jones, Jalen Hyatt coming up out of Tennessee, there's a lot of good options here that I really think, even you have some guys on your roster, though, that really stepped up for you, like Hodgkins and all those guys. So I think you're excited. But overall, the number one draft need this year needs to be a wide receiver. And even if you go get somebody in free agency, I think you could still double down, maybe even triple down in the draft, early in the draft, and then also maybe in the later rounds, like the 5th or 6th round, like that too. Giants draft need number 2, interior offensive lineman. Listen, Peter Skoronski is going to be the biggest stud this NFL has ever seen. I know he played tackle there at Northwestern, but he's going to bump into guard. He's going to move the earth. And it's going to be absolutely fantastic. And I really also feel like, there is going to be a lot of good interior offensive linemen in this draft. And yes, we'll be able to do a lot of other, drafts videos about all of those players. But I do think that there's a lot of different players here for the interior offensive line that could do a lot of different things for the Giants. So going to be fun overall, but I do think, I think his name is, Osiris Dempsey or whatever, coming up out of Florida. I think he's going to be a really good player that you're really going to want to, Osiris Torrance, excuse me, I don't know why I said Dempsey, but Osiris Torrance is going to be somebody that you want to keep an eye out for in this draft. We already mentioned the likes of Skoronski too, so, the Giants are going to be in a spot where get offensive linemen in the interior. I don't care, John Feliciano and company, they should not play another down, but even though, Josh Ozedu, who got injured really early in the year, I think he could be a guy that steps in right away, comes back and steps in. So I don't think you need to put a huge emphasis on the interior offensive line. You got to remember, you got some guys on the IR, guys like Wan'Dale Robinson, who's going to be a big player next year for the Giants, guys like Josh Ozedu, like we mentioned. I think he's going to be a big player for him too. So yes, you do want to emphasize the interior offensive line need, but at the same time, I think you got some guys that can fill those holes. Giants draft need number 3, I think it's pretty simple. I think it's interior linebacker now, or inside linebacker, if you will. So this defensive line with Dexter Lawrence and company, like, they were pretty good. Like, Dexter Lawrence is a stud. I think he is the next Aaron Donald potentially, and I don't think that is a stretch in any stretch of the imagination. But inside linebacker, especially if you look at specifically what the Giants did, I really felt like, you saw some good things from Jalen Smith as well as Micah McFadden, but overall, I want to see some more juice. I think Campbell coming up out of Iowa, Jack Campbell that is, coming up, also Henry at Toyo. I know I'm not even close to pronouncing that correctly. And even if you want to get down and go down to Trenton Simpson out of Clemson, I think he's the number 1 guy in this draft, if we're being perfectly honest. So interior or inside linebacker, I can't say it today, needs to be a huge focus. I know you got a couple of guys that are solid in there, but come on, Campbell, who's a solid run stuffer, he can play the pass. I do think he's going to have a little bit more trouble with those quicker and faster receivers, if you will, but overall, Campbell's a guy, he's long, 6'5", 250, great run stuffer. I think he's not a liability in coverage. Also, Toyo coming up out of Alabama is another guy, also Simpson. Any one of those guys, you get them, you love it. You think this team is going to take another huge step forward on defense next year. Also, Giants draftee number 4, corner. So, This one, I don't even care because I know that you guys got like McKinney and all those guys, Julian Love, you're going to want to re-sign him, but corner is a big need. I know that this is probably a little bit lower than a lot of other people's lists, but whether it's Cam Smith or Christian Gonzalez coming up out of Oregon, you need to make a play for a corner. I would personally like Witherspoon out of Illinois. I think he's going to be a really good player for a lot of teams. Also, Cam Smith, you got to love those grid draft crushes. So I think that you got to go after a corner in this draft. This is a deep corner class, so I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do in order to get a quality one, and I think that the Giants should definitely make a play for it. Giants draft need number 5, tight end. Now, this might come as a shock to some people because, yeah, I know that there's some guys that are, whether it's corner and safety that you might want to put an emphasis on. Listen, re-sign those guys, bring those guys back because this tight end class is special. And this is not a knock on Daniel Bellinger, or Bellinger, however you say his name, but at the end of the day, this is a deep tight end class. So, yes, it all starts at the very top there with the tight end coming out of Notre Dame. You're really excited to see what he does. But at the end of the day, there is so many different tight ends in this draft that I think you need to take a flyer on. And like we mentioned, yes, it's Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame. There's also Tucker Kraft, represent South Dakota, baby, coming up out of SDSU, won a national title this year. There's a lot of good tight ends in this class. Would really help out the Giants if they were to able to get a top one, because there's tight ends, from the top to the bottom here that would be mismatches in the NFL for everybody. So I think that the Giants need to go get a tight end that is a weapon, a security blanket for Daniel Jones. Yes, get your wide receivers, get your interior offensive line, but also get a tight end that can make some difference. And I think that there's this entire draft class of tight ends is stocked full of playmakers that the Giants need to go get. But that is it for our top 5 New York Giants draft needs. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like and a comment. It helps people find the show. We greatly appreciate all the support that we've gotten and continue to get. You guys are all truthfully awesome. We love every single one of you. Down in the description below, you'll find all of our social media platforms. So give us a like and a follow there. Also remember to give us a listen and sub on iTunes. And finally, if you have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com or put it in the comment section down below, and we would love to cover it. But let us know what you guys think about our top 5 New York Giants draft needs.